So I want to have a little bit of chat time of why men are choosing to stay single. My name is Nick with the Upgraded Man Project, and on this video, we're gonna dive into that topic. First off, I got my no carbohydrate, right? No added sugar. Got my little yerba mate here. Still doing some intermittent fasting. But with that said, a big thing I see happening with men, and I went through it myself, is many men are giving up on the dating world. They're giving up on relationships. They're giving up on partnership. And I understand where it's coming from, right? And it is a major problem that needs to be solved. It's something that needs to be talked about, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to be 36 next month. And I grew up in a time where we didn't have social media. We didn't have dating apps. We were playing out in the street constantly. You met people at pool parties. You met people at school. You met people at events. The landscape was completely different. A lot of people knew each other. Everyone had different friend circles and stuff. But now with the prevalence of social media, it's become a huge problem because you have a lot of things like dating apps and a lot of stuff out there. And it's affecting both sides of the equation. I can't really speak for women, but I can definitely speak for men. And so if you're watching this, this is really important because I know that there's a lot of information out there about red flags and what to look for in regards to women. It's not to say that all women are bad. There are some out there that are spoiling the rotten apple is spoiling the bunch for the rest. However, with that said, there are a lot of good ones out there. Why I'm making this video is because I was able to solve that problem in my own life. And what I mean by that is for so long in my, I went through a lot of relationships, right? And so they were not all blissful. They were not all great. There was a lot of heartbreak. There was cheating involved. There was different things. And at that point, I was pretty bitter, and I just wanted to turn around and just sort of blame the other person, right? Oh, women are bad. And then what happened is I jumped into YouTube, and I was watching all this red pill content, and all that did is make my brain 10 times worse because it gave me such a bitterness that I didn't even want to deal with women anymore because a lot of that content is like, don't get married, don't get into a relationship. And then what's being preached is just this sort of alpha fake bravado mentality of go out and be this multimillionaire and just objectify women and just work and just use them. And that is not the answer. Unless you want that, like if you think you want that, then by all means go ahead. You probably shouldn't watch this video. But if you're like me and you actually respect family and relationships and tradition, and you're trying to figure out this landscape, right? Maybe you're in your 20s or maybe in your 30s, and you're trying to figure out how to go about it. The number one piece of advice I have for you is to stop. Because if you continue going down the route you're going, if you've had relationships that are not working out, if you've had dates that are not working out, just pause. Hit pause altogether. I did that about a year ago, right? I got out of a real bad breakup. And I was going to get into the dating world. I was going to do a bunch of stuff like that. However, I decided to take a different route. I actually buckled down. I got locked in, right? Almost like a monk mode, not exactly. But I chose to be celibate. I wasn't on dating apps. I wasn't wasting my time. I wasn't trying to chase women or talk to women or look up attraction techniques or dating. None of that. I actually completely had stopped all of that. And I made it a focus to become celibate, so I wasn't out there having sex and exchanging sexual energy with all these different people. The other part of it was when you do that, not only are you able to then put more time and focus on building your body, going to the gym, building up your career, building up your skill sets, spending more time with your own family, you're able to do all that. But the deeper part of that and why that may be important for you is what it did for me is it allowed me to take a look and a pause at all my previous relationships. And I was able to uncover a lot of patterns, a lot of traumas. And what I realized is I was attracting the very same person over and over and over. I was almost addicted to chaos. I was almost expecting cheating to happen. There was not a lot of trust, right? There may have been some chemistry. There may have been some love and some good connections. I'm not going to say that that was never there. That stuff will be there. However, if you do not clear up your own internal, you're going to attract someone that is vibing on that same level. And so if you are with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to go on this date and I'm going to go on that date and I'm going to spin all these plates, guess what? You're going to attract women that are thinking the same exact way. They are going to be playing the game the same way you are. And now you're getting two people that are just here playing games. And then what happens is a bunch of people are spending money to go out on dates, to fancy dinners, and to go out for drinks. And then usually you're going to end up having sex, right? If you get lucky enough in that regard, you end up having sex. But guess what? Those relationships are not going to last. They're going to fizzle out. It's just not going to work in your favor. And then you're going to realize that you're doing this time and time and time again. And then you get to a point, well, how are you ever going to find a family out of this? How are you ever going to find a wife out of this? You're not going to be able to, because you're fishing in the wrong pond. If you give yourself some solitude and you give yourself a moment or a period of celibacy and you figure your own patterns out, right? So what I did, another thing that may help, and I'd like to make more videos and expand on this topic, but another thing that helped me really well is I pretended in my mind that, hey, anything that was told to me, regardless of how my ego felt about it, oh, I think she's lying, she's crazy, she's narcissistic, whatever nonsense you want to spew, instead of doing that, what I did is I took a step back and I said, you know what? Let me pretend that that entire list is 100% correct, and let me start working on some of those things, right? And as I did, I was able to really uncover quite a bit in a relatively short time. Only a few months was I able to uncover quite a bit of patterns, quite a bit of trauma, because all the noise had calmed down, right? You get to a point where the noise is able to calm down and you're able to focus. But if you're concerned with going out there to get the next girl or to go out on the next date and you have not done the time to do the deeper inner work that is required in order to upgrade yourself, in order to elevate yourself, you are only going to attract people on that same vibration. So my advice to you, brother, is to take some time, reevaluate what you actually want in life. And if you're a man like me and you seek tradition and you seek value and you want a beautiful, gentle, fair-minded woman that is not here to use you for your money, or not here to use you for social, to get validation, or not here to use you to be taken on all these dates to then just discard you to go to the next guy, then take a step back. Because the fact that you're constantly seeking that and needing that, you're coming with needy behavior. And that is repulsive. So if you take a step back, I know it's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's easy at all. There's many times that I was in a dark place during those periods, because deep stuff is going to come up to the surface. And those dark periods are going to reveal a lot of that. There's going to be times where you're like, why do I even want to go on, right? What's even the point here? What I would say is there is light at the end of the tunnel, because what will happen is things will start to vibrate and resonate more in what you're in alignment with, and you're going to attract a way more ideal mate and a way more ideal person into your life. If you do not want a promiscuous woman, then you must not be promiscuous. You see what I'm saying? You will attract who you are. And it's one thing to pretend to be something on the surface, but guess what? God knows what's going on. God knows how you're thinking. God knows how you're acting and what's happening behind closed doors. And only you know those answers. If you like videos like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be making way more content about this. It's a very huge issue with a lot of the men that I coach and a lot of the men that I speak to. With that said, I will see you on the very next video.